Our next up is Krysten Hill. Krysten is the living embodiment of what I just spoke about. Krysten Hill is an educator, a writer, performer who has showcased her considerable talents in poetry at the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, the Mass Poetry Festival, and Blacksmith House in Cambridge, among many other venues. She received her MFA in poetry from UMass Boston, where she currently teaches. Her work can be found in a variety of journals. She is the recipient of the 2016 St. Botolph Foundation's Emerging Artist Award. Her chapbook, How Her Spirit Got Out, received the 2017 Jean Pedrick Chapbook Prize. And with that, the floor and the mic are yours, Krysten.
Hi, y'all. Can y'all hear me okay?
Fine.
I was the same.
Love your glasses.
So.
I just want to thank Neil. I want to thank Nina. I want to thank Matt. I want to thank the Cape Cod Theatre Company for streaming this and for your patience with figuring out everything in terms of technology. I just really appreciate being here tonight.
Well, we appreciate you being here. And as I said before, I was the same Patel.
Yes.
So I feel bad for them because they can't gather now either.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, great to have you. Thank you for being here, Krysten.
I'm going to read a few poems. Just focus that. All right. The first poem I'm going to read, I was reminded when Andrea said about the phone books thing. I remember phone books. I remember sitting on phone books, especially when my mom was braiding my hair. She would put me on phone books to make me tall enough so she could reach my head. And so the first poem I'm going to start with is kind of a poem about childhood, but it has like a bigger meaning. I'm allergic to things that sting. I remember being allergic to especially wood wasps, and they used to live in our porch in my house in Kansas City. So I'm going to start with this poem. Wasps. Wasps nesting under the front porch make the floor sing under my feet. I know they could swell me shut, but I hold my palms to the door that separates us to feel their warning, not because I'm not afraid, but because I imagine a music box. Winged bodies circling in their colony, eating deeper into the house my Black grandmother built for her children, making another heart on the other side of mine. Did you know wasp nests take the shape of the objects they claim? Fill their gaps with dead fiber and spit into the places they were or swallowed in paper. So that's the first poem. It just reminds me of growing up in Kansas City, and it reminds me of the house I grew up in. It was inherited from my family, and we lived there for a number of years in the inner city in Kansas City on Prospect Street. This next poem is about a knife fight that I watched in Boston.
Oof.
Knives. There was something about watching a boy on the train platform pull a switchblade on a smaller version of himself that made me wonder what the lesson was. When the smaller boy got rushed and the crowd made room, I thought for sure he caught the end of it when he yelled like the boy he was, all at 16 in clean Nikes. The smaller boy was fast, and when there was no show of skin, no pulling proof on the platform, even he said really at the miracle of his unslashed coat. It wasn't that he could have been a student in my class chewing on his pen before answering my question about what Baldwin meant when he said, one must say yes to life and embrace it wherever it is found, and it is found in terrible places. And another student said, after the cops shot his friend, they handcuffed him and let him bleed out on the sidewalk. Another said, she keeps a machete behind the bedroom door when her mother is home. Or how small I sounded when I told them just to be careful. How words can feel useless in a knife fight How weak I look, screaming stop with my back against the wall, while an older man pushed the bigger one back at the smaller boy, saying, stop dancing and do it. Mm. This next poem is a tribute to Nina Simone. I thought it was appropriate, everything that's going on. And Nina Simone is one of my people who I listen to when I just need a tether to this world. I feel like ancestors are always listening to us, always watching us. And so this poem is for Nina. This is also a persona poem. Nina Simone at Olympia. I left a country that blew up churches with children in them. A country that unleashed dogs on crowds of my skin, the handlers raising their sticks for the sixth split of Black bodies. Alabama's got me so upset. Tennessee made me lose my rest. It took seconds to silence Malcolm. Tear the feathers from his words with bullets singing through him. King's bright colors spread heavy on a Memphis balcony. It takes the right kind of monsters to merge into the nightmare of American history. I learned to become a vicious thing that knows where to find the throat, and everybody knows Mississippi, goddamn. But when I left my country, I left it for other kinds of cages. This business follows you, packages you where they want you, aims lights into your eyes, taps the side of your instrument to make you sing. I can't stand my own noise sometimes. The clatter gets caught in their clamoring requests. Paris, I don't trust you. You think you know me because when you take me home, your needle drops on the story of lovers that leave me for quieter things. But when I stare through your crowds, your curled smoke, shut off the electricity of my hands just to see you squirm. I mean to make you earn my sound. Listen. To trigger a piano, it starts with a depressed key that rocks the center rail. The mechanical rise and fall against each other. Hammers know where to strike. Tight strings, vibrations spill through soundboard. Seizures of hallelujah. Momentum brings holler and beg, beginning with a right touch laid on miracle machine. When that sound responds, it's a separate free woman inside me that doesn't want to be touched. I plead with her when I am on my knees inside a song to disembody me, help perform this grief out. She is what hides in the folds of larynx, curves of diaphragm, the hold of lungs, and the name of this tune is release, reaching for moonbit notes, indigo running down rhythm-touched hill, beating language into floor, and the name of this tune is the sound hanging on until the key releases and the damper drops, silencing the string, and the name of this tune is the unshackling that happens in seconds, and I mean every word of it. Mm.
Yes.
I'm gonna, two more poems. I'm gonna read, the next poem I'm gonna read is called Nothing.
I was hoping.
Yes.
You read that at the Mount, and I was gonna say, oh God, I hope she's gonna read that poem.
Yeah. This poem is for my students. It's also just for this difficult time. I mean, it's not that we haven't been living in a difficult time forever. At least I've often felt that. But I hope I'm processing some of that in this poem. This poem is also kind of vulnerable. So I'm gonna try to read it the best that I can. Nothing. I asked a student how I could help her. Nothing is on her paper. It's been that way for 35 minutes. She has a headache. She asked to leave early. Maybe I asked the wrong question. I've always been dumb with questions. When I hurt, I too have a hard time accepting advice or gentleness. I owe for an education that hurts, and collectors call my mama's house. I do nothing about my unpaid bills as if that will help. I do nothing about the mold on my ceiling and it spreads. I do nothing about the cat's litter box and she pisses on my new bath mat. Nothing isn't an absence. Silence isn't nothing. I told the woman I loved her and she never talked to me again. I told my mama a man hurt me and her hard silence told me to keep my story to myself. Nothing is full of something. A mask that grows where you cut at it. I've lost 3 aunts when white doctors told them the thing they felt was nothing. My aunt said nothing when it clawed at her breathing. I sat in a room while it killed her. I'm afraid when nothing keeps me in bed for days, I imagine what my beautiful aunts are becoming underground, and I cry for them in my sleep where no one can see. Nothing is in my bedroom, but I smell my aunt's perfume, and I wake to my name called from nowhere. I never looked into the sky and said it was empty. Maybe that's why I imagine a God up there to feel what seems unimaginable. Some days I want to live inside the words more than my own Black body. When the white man shoves me so that he can get on the bus first, when he says I am nothing but fits it inside a word and no one stops him, I wear a bruise in the morning where he touched me before I was born. My mama's shame spreads inside me. I've heard her say there was nothing in a grocery store she could afford. I've heard her tell the landlord she had nothing to her name. There was nothing I could do for a young Black woman that disappeared on her way to campus. They found her purse and her phone, but nothing led them to her. Nobody was there to hold Renisha McBride's hand when she was scared of dying. Our worry poems are nothing against it. My mama said if I became a poet or a teacher, I'd make nothing. But I've thrown words like rocks and hit something in a room when I aim for a window. One student says when he writes, it feels like nothing can stop him. And his laughter unlocks a door. He invites me into his living.
Wow.
Oh, Krysten.
I'm going to read one more poem. During the summer, I don't live where I can have a lot of green space. So I grow a lot of things on my sun porch and on my back porch in a tradition of the inner city where we grow in green spaces that where we can. My aunt grew beautiful gardens in the inner city. She had a little small plot of land and she'd grow these beautiful flower gardens. And Miss Eddie down the street had tomato plants that she'd grow up on the side of her house. This is a tribute to them. I'm going to end with this poem. Damn, I need a minute. Because sometimes survival looks like a sun porch crowded with living plants, despite how much I'm told I can't keep anything alive. Every muscle and green knobbing from the dirt reminded me of my mama's cutting tongue, blade up, a warning with roots. I'm learning to care for other living things and myself. I overwater my aloe and my liver. Forget my fern needs shade as much as my heart needs to sleep in the dark sometimes. Crowd my tomato plants the way I choke on thoughts of leaving myself. I kill them sometimes. I try again next season. I touch their new leaves when I can't sleep. Whisper my worry because what will be left for my children? Who will take cuttings and grow them in their own rooms if this world is dead? I give them what I have, my voice, water, house in winter. I fill my sun porch with the living and the dead, and I talk to both. I put soil on my tongue because I want to taste both. I remember how my mama said, I need a minute, when she got home from work and gave her tire to a chair. Closed the door to the kitchen to escape her screaming house and talked to her philodendron crawling up the wall. Like my mama packed a room with plants like gauze in a wound. I'm trying to know healing from the inside out. Thank y'all.
Oh my goodness.